She was not born into promise. She was born into service. Hagar walked the corridors of tents, not as a daughter, not as a wife, but as someone unseen, useful only when needed, forgotten when inconvenient. Her name was spoken when chores were required, but her heart was never asked how it felt. Yet heaven already knew her. When decisions were made above her, Hagar was pulled into a destiny she did not choose. She carried life, but not honor, hope, but not security. And when conflict rose like a storm, she was pushed out, sent away with a future that looked like sand in silence. The wilderness swallowed her footsteps. No roof, no voice calling her name, no promise spoken over her by man, only God. And here is where the story shifts. Hagar could have cursed the heavens. She could have hardened her heart. She could have believed the lie that abandonment meant absence. But instead, in the place where strength runs out, she stayed with God. Not because life was easy, but because God was near. In the heat of the desert, when tears blurred her sight and fear pressed on her chest, God spoke, not to a queen, not to a priest, but to a forsaken woman who refused to let go of faith. He did not shame her pain. He did not ignore her tears. He met her exactly where she was. And in that encounter, Hagar did something no one else had done before. She named God. You are the God who sees me. Not the God of temples only, not the God of crowds and ceremonies, but the God who sees a single soul sitting alone in the wilderness. She returned not because her situation was perfect, but because her trust was anchored. Hagar learned what the kingdom is built on. Not status, not acceptance, not comfort, but faithfulness in forsaken places. Her life became a living testimony that God does not abandon the abandoned. God does not forget the forgotten. God does not require approval from men to fulfill His word. She walked away from people but never away from God. And that is why her story lives in the chronicles of the kingdom. Because the God who saw her still sees today.